Hi, and welcome to my channel on mental health. Now, we all have a mind, a brain, and from time to time, it can become a bit of a struggle. Our minds can struggle with things that occur through our lives, but it's not always like that. Sometimes life can be good, we can have that positive vibe from time to time, but we can't always be positive. You know, sometimes things occur in our lives, things we may have seen, things that have affected us. An illness, a mental illness may come along, and affect us, and it affects our mind. It affects us, the mind, and the mind can sometimes become very confused, very overwhelming, and not being able to cope with it sometimes. But it's not impossible to do. It's just the fact that it needs decluttering. So the mind, it's just as simple as that. It's not something that when something occurs we can go straight and find those and do those things that do help. The things that help, the things are the long term things that is going to benefit us. So it's finding those things, but it's having that space in our minds so we can finding that space in our minds so we can digest and process better in a more healthier way. It helps us to be more productive. It gives us a meaning, a purpose in life when we're able to do that. When our minds are cluttered, we can't focus. It affects our focusing, our concentration. It affects us within ourselves day to day, basically, in the things that we want to do and so forth like that. So it's finding that space, being able to have that space in your mind to help you, like I said, process and digest things and cope better and cope in a healthier way, the healthy habits. Now, focus, when it affects our focus, our concentration, because we've got so much going on in our head, you can't focus, you can't process things properly. So it's finding those things, it's finding those things that's going to help. And those things that do help are the ones that we have to find, and they're long term things to find, to be able to do that. It doesn't come to us naturally. It's something that we have to practice, we have to learn. And sometimes, and I will say this, the things that actually benefit, the things that are actually the long-term things that benefit us, we got quick fixes, but sometimes them quick fixes can turn into negative habits that doesn't help us at all. So it's finding what's going to work for you, the right things that's going to work for you, finding that room in your head to help process it, focusing, be mindful. Mindful is a good thing. That's what mindfulness is all about. It's all about focusing in the present, staying in the present and focusing on the things around, because we can quite often get too drawn into ourselves, into our minds, and that mind hasn't got the space, it hasn't got the room, and it ends up on an overload. That negative is like a magnet. We can quite easily get drawn into that negative way about it, rather than it's not built into us to do something that is positive straight away, that's going to help. We need to find those things, trying to find the right things that's going to give you that headspace, that room, that space in your head as well. Like I said, mindfulness is a good thing to do. Mindfulness really isn't for everybody. It is for some people, because it's something that doesn't with mindfulness, you have to practice, it's a practice that you have to learn, and it takes a bit of time. So you have to be patient within yourself, basically. And being patient, as hard as it may be, as hard as you may feel, if you're in that situation, if you're suffering a little bit, patience, being patient actually turns into good, because that's the thing with things that you find that's going to cope, that's going to help you within yourself. It's the long-term thing. So you have to be patient within yourself with it, but it's a learning process. We're learning every day. We're learning every day about, and sometimes those things that we can do to help give us that space is in our day-to-day living. Like mindfulness can be brought into our day-to-day living. It helps us, like I said, stay in the present. It helps us focus better. It helps with our concentration rather than getting drawn inwardly. So mindfulness is a good tool to learn, to practice, but also as well, there's other things that you can do. It's all about what works for the individual. There's so many things that you can do to help. It's learning to focus better. It's learning to concentrate alongside with everything that you do, but you have to process everything that's going on in your mind. If you're struggling, you have to learn to process it, to be able to focus, to be able to understand it a bit better, really. Sometimes you can feel so confused, you may not understand it better. So it's understanding is by giving yourself that headroom, that headspace, by doing things that's going to help with it. It's going to help you better in the long run as well. Talking can help you process things. Trying things that's going to help you digest and give you that headspace, because sometimes over a long period of time, sometimes it becomes harder, but it's not possible to do. It's not possible to be able to find that headspace. Sometimes you may feel like, things aren't working, then they're not actually working, but you have to do things constantly, well, not constantly, you have to do these things that you find to more like regular. You have to do it regular to benefit, and it's the same with anything. You have to do it regular. So the thing is with finding space in your head is finding those things that it's going to help you digest what's going on and process it as well. Because once you start to do that, you get an understanding, right? You can cope better with everything else, and it pulls you away from it. Because everything, when you're feeling like that, just feels negative. But when you start to find that headspace, finding that headspace helps you, like I said, process better, and finding those things as well that's going to work for the individual as well. So I'm going to end the video there. If you wish to subscribe, feel free to. You'll get up all my other videos that I've done as well. And don't forget to give us a like, and I'll see you in the next video.